All right, so this video is going to be the answers to at least one of the problems that you struggled with in the homework from today. And then I'm also going to make a short video on finding the minimum sample size in a confidence interval. So let's get started. Let me share my screen and we'll look at number, I think it's 25. Let me look. Yeah, number 25. So number 25, I got a lot of emails about, a lot of questions. So let's take a look at that one first. So 25, they gave you the answer, right? They gave you the interval, the confidence interval, and they asked you to find the margin of error E and the sample mean X bar. So let's go back and draw this out here, right? If this is our mu here, right? I don't know what mu is, but I can guess from the point estimate, X bar, that it's in this range, right? The range that they gave you was from 12 to 14.8, right? We also said that the distance from the X bar to the edge of the interval, that's that margin of error that we were calculating, right? So it doesn't matter which way we go, that's the margin of error. So this whole distance in our interval from end to end is really just two margin of errors, right? So if I can find that distance divided by 2, then that's going to be my margin of error. So if I take 14.8 minus 12, that gives me 2.8. That's the entire distance. Cut it in half, and my margin of error is just 1.4. So that's not too bad. Now, if I start from one of these endpoints, like I start from the lower endpoint, the lower limit in this one, if I add 1.4, my margin of error, that will get me back to this point estimate X bar. You could also take the upper limit and subtract that margin of error 1.4 to get back to X bar. I'm just going to take the 12 and add my margin of error to get 13.4, so that is my X bar. So two answers, margin of error 1.4, the X bar 13.4. Once you see that, I think that's going to be one of the easier problems, but it is a little bit tricky at first because you really have to think about what you're given and what you're trying to find. It's not as straightforward as some of the other problems. All right, the second thing I want to go over in this video is finding a minimum sample size. So a minimum sample size given a confidence level, the formula, it's in your notes, it looks like this, right? If you can't find it, maybe jot it down. It is going to be important. So you're trying to find a minimum sample size n using a z-score from a confidence level, which are in your notes for most of the confidence values, times the standard deviation divided by your margin of error, and then all squared, right? This usually, in the book at least, comes with the word within. So if it says within 2, within 0.5, within 3%, whatever it is, that's your margin of error that you want to put in there. Also make a note, you always round up to the next whole number. Because we're finding sample size, right? Sample size, number of people, number of TVs, number of whatever we're measuring, right? That's going to be a whole number of objects. So you always round up. No matter what the decimal is, we always round up. So in this particular problem, this is one out of the book that I just grabbed. It's number 29, if you want to take a look at it. It says your confidence level is 90%, your standard deviation is 6.8, and your margin of error is 1. Find the minimum sample size necessary. So if I put my values into the formula, the z-score we have in our notes, right? It's for 90%, 1.645. And remember, that just comes from the inverse norm of 5%, half of what's left over. Multiply that by 6.8, divide it by 1, and then square it. So I'm going to grab my calculator here, and I'm going to take 1.645 times 6.8 divided by 1, which doesn't really change anything in this case, and then square it, and that comes out with 125.127. which, because it's a sample size, I'm going to round up to 126. So the minimum sample size necessary for this one would be 126. Right? Not too bad of a formula. The z-scores, like I said, these will come for your notes. You should have most of them in there. Standard deviation they will give you, and then the margin of error is your within value that you're looking for. Just don't forget to round up. Don't forget to square it. Be careful as you go through. This is what your work for today is going to be on. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, watch it, take some notes, and just tune in for tomorrow. Thanks for watching.